days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. Our word is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Let's talk some business.
There we go.
Hi.
Welcome in, Small Business Rock Stars. Welcome to Small Business Saturdays Live. We are so glad that you're here. It is time to talk about SVPs, alignment, our reason, and put that all together to build a business that's got a great foundation to it. And I'm excited that we're actually back live here with both of us. So I'm excited, and we're trying to fix Facebook at the same time here. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back too. I feel like it's been about a month since I've been here. So it's pretty exciting. Well, I'm Kylene. Aaron is my husband, and we're here to share some real practical strategies with you to help take your business to that next level.
Awesome. And so before we dive into today's topics, though, we do want to make it interactive, and that's why I'm frantically, for whatever reason, Facebook is not connecting with our streaming service here. So I don't know if anybody's catching us. There we go. So Rena is tuning in on YouTube. It looks like we're gonna have to send everybody to YouTube. So I will do that here, Kylene, while you can kind of take over the rest of it here until we get to the SVP.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. So excuse me. So those of you who are able to join us live, just share what you're grateful for today. Obviously, we typically do that on Rising Tide Talks, but let's bring some gratitude in here today as well. Share with any other business owners that you know. As Aaron said, we want to be as interactive as we can and just grow and learn together. Today's topic is one of my favorites. It's the SVPs, so the strengths, values, and passions. It's something that Aaron has been doing with people one-on-one as well as in group settings, but it's so powerful to understand your own personal strengths, your values, and your passions, so you're more in alignment and understanding of what your mission is, what your why is. And so once we understand that, it's just that much easier to get there. And then that's what takes us through those challenging moments, right? You understand what you're all about. If anyone has gone through the SVP with Aaron, share your experience in the comments. We definitely are going to do a little role playing. Aaron loves to put me on the spot here. So we'll be doing that a little bit. So just so you can kind of see what a call would be like if you haven't done it yet. And then just understand like the 3 different pillars of OSG and how understanding your SVPs really allows you to move through and create that overall balance, if you will, or health and wellness and the how-tos. It all kind of works together, right? And we're just so clear about our reason. Hey, Doug. Hey, Rena.
All right. And then again, don't forget, some of you might be tuning in for the first time over on YouTube here and because of the issues we're having with Facebook. So what do the kids say, Kylene?
I think they say smash that like button. I can't believe you made me say that. But yes, Lewis would be proud, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I have to ask him. So smash the like button, hit subscribe, and again, share this with your fellow business owners while we get rolling here. So, Kylene, do you want to explain the SVPs in your words? Like, what does that mean to you, and why is it so crucial, and why are you excited about doing this today?
Yeah, for sure. So SVP. So again, it's strengths, values, and your passions. So It's so important because when we're connected to what's important to us, when we actually have words to go with what we value in our life, the things that are important to us, and then where our natural gifts are. When those things all line up, we really are clear about our reason. And when we're clear about our reason, then we get to say yes to more of the good things. Then we get to say no to the things that might not really quite line up, right? It's just a lot easier to continue to move forward to get to your idea of success once you have that full understanding. That's why I'm super excited to talk about this.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with all that being said, Kylene, let's do this role play that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Then we're getting people over here. There we go. We got Chandler joining us. Hello. So Chandler, I've been through the SVPs with you. Doug, Rena, not yet. Doug, I know you and I have talked a little bit, but we didn't do the SVP thing. So now, obviously, Kylene has done this, and we've done it together. And to be honest with you, it doesn't always work so well with a husband and wife, right? Like, there's like, for example, Kylene is a certified regenerative images and memory consultant, or I'm not sure how you would say that, but
You're good. Yeah.
and but for her to do that with me, it's just, that relationship kind of can get in the way. So our role play is going to be a little bit kind of making some assumptions. It won't be as deep as I normally go with folks because of the fact that we've already done this and we got a lot of other things we want to get to here. But so anything else that we should explain there, Kylene, before we dive into this?
No, I think you can go ahead. I don't know if you wanted to talk about having an assessment done ahead of time, but
yeah, that's a good idea. And I will pop something in the link here in a second because I didn't really think ahead on that part. But well, that's not true. We do have the SVP in general here, but I wanted to add a link to an assessment that you can take, but you'll find it actually when you go over here. So really the idea here is, what are your strengths, values, and passions? And I like to get information from people before we even get on the call. The intention, what'll happen a lot of times is if people just kind of come into it with like, I don't really know, I haven't said anything. They're kind of, my perspective gets put on it too quickly, right? And so we want to go from your perspective, and then I can see if my abilities can help you uncover some things that maybe you're not thinking about, right? And finding our strengths, values, and passions can be a little bit of a struggle because it is who we are, right? It's right. And so you don't think about it because it's just how you operate. You wake up that way, right? So you don't have to think about being the things that you're strong at, the things that you value, the things that you're passionate about. It's just what you're drawn to. So using an assessment like the Clifton Strengths Finder is a good one. There's a thing called the High Five test, which has been very useful. And the one that I'm really interested in and spending a lot of my time in right now is called the VIA Character Strengths. And that's the one that I'll link in the comments here in just a bit. But, so starting there gives us a really good starting point, and then we can talk through some other things. So
yeah.
You were thinking, Kylene?
I was just going to say, like, if you haven't gone through this at all, it's okay to, come into it with some, if you have that done, it definitely helps put words into how you operate. Like Aaron said, we just show up. And then it's even still hard to articulate that, right? So that's where Aaron's superpower comes into play, because he's able to pull out the things he's hearing and reading from some of the assessments and put it into action for you. It's really powerful process.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, hello, Julie. Thanks for jumping in over here on YouTube, and same for you, Craig. Thank you guys for coming on over. Again, apologize that the Facebook thing didn't link out. I've got a ticket into I was hoping it was fixed, and I have a ticket into the service that we use here, but apparently when it went live, it says, oh, it's not connected. So either I deleted the wrong event over on Facebook or something happened, but we're good. We're here. You guys made your way over to YouTube, so we appreciate that. Again, If you have not already liked and subscribed, please do so. And maybe drop a post over on Facebook and let your fellow business owners know that we're over here instead today, and go from there. So we are also on LinkedIn, but we don't normally get a lot of viewers there in the live fashion. People do watch after the fact. So, all right. Well, let's dive into this, Kylene. Welcome into the SVP. No, I don't get all crazy like that. Normally, we'll have just to get how's it going? What's working for you? That type of thing. And again, this is not going to be exactly how it goes. So bear with us as we kind of rush through it, because again, we do want to get to some other things here. But Kylene, can you tell me in your words, what are your strengths? What do you feel like, what do people come to you for? What kinds of questions do people ask you about? What have people said about you? Those types of things. What do you find your strengths to be?
Yeah. Positivity is definitely one of them. I tend to always look for the good in situations and kind of pull from that and hang on to that. I see the potential in other people. I love to point that out to others and motivate them, encourage them to keep moving forward. And I love harmony, that sense of calm, that everything is kind of working together. It's not a high conflict, high stress, high friction. I tend to I don't respond always in a way, so I really value when I'm in an environment where there's a lot of harmony.
Gotcha. Okay. I also noticed on your strengths, Clifton Strengths test here, that you have developer and belief as high strengths for you. What do those mean to you?
So the developer side is, seeing that potential in other people, pulling out their strengths, right, and sharing that with them, and encouraging them to keep moving forward. Sometimes like we talked about, we have blinders on, and so yeah.
Okay. What about consistency? How does that play a role in your strengths?
I'm pretty consistent in that I want to treat everyone the same. Consistent in that, not consistent in action. I wouldn't say that is what it means to me, because but I think it's consistent in that I want to make sure everyone has that same sense of attention from me. It's really important to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you find yourself kind of being set in your ways?
Can you ask that with a straight face?
I did.
Yes.
Again, this is why it doesn't always work with people that know each other so well. Some of you I know very well, and we've done just fine. But Kylene and I obviously get every moment of every day together, which is an amazing gift, but can sometimes also lead to some deeper poking and prodding.
I think I do do the same thing over and over, right? And I believe in my mind it's because of the harmony. Yeah. Because when you leave that space, right, when we leave our comfort zone, it creates that internal feeling of conflict. And so for me, I am definitely aware of that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So coming out of the role play here real quick, just for everybody that's tuned in here. We will typically spend a bit of time in the strengths, kind of digging into that. I do think that there's a ton of great information we can use to better design our business once we get into that. And then we kind of take it from there, because the whole goal of this, and we'll get to it in a second, is we want to kind of understand this so we have a pattern, but then the real important part is the OSG part that comes up here. And yes, that is a little bit of a play on words, the company, our success group, but it's also outcomes, structure, and growth. And so we'll get to that in a second. So we're kind of going to fly a little more quickly through passions and values here. So anyhow, back to role playing. Kylene, let's talk about your passions here. What things are you very passionate about that you do? Again, maybe you lose all track of time doing it, or you have a hard time even thinking to charge people for it because it's just like something you love to do.
Yeah. Well, obviously yoga is in there. I love sharing that tool I love connecting with other people. I love learning about their story. I love helping and teaching and motivating people, encouraging them to keep moving forward.
Okay. And
Mhm.
the motivate people, how does that show up for you? How do you kind of find yourself motivating folks?
I feel like I'm like a cheerleader in that I can pick out their accomplishments and things that they could celebrate to keep filling that tank for them so they can keep moving forward. We talk a lot about celebrating, so I
Mhm.
feel like that is something I'm naturally good at.
Okay.
It's that positivity. So
Okay. All right. I love it. And just so you guys know, I'm not being rude and kind of looking away as Kylene's talking. I do actually always have a sheet and I just write whatever words kind of show up for me and as that I'm hearing and so we can kind of start digging some patterns out. So we do that with everybody that does that and yeah, we give you a full report and rundown afterwards too. So all right, so that's awesome about the passions. That's great. How do you find your passions and strengths working together?
well, just the positivity and developer and harmony, all of that kind of comes together, and that I'm able to connect with other people and support them.
Awesome.
I am a natural helper.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have some tools that I can share. And so I feel like that's how those passions and strengths work together.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And for those that are just tuning in, we got Sandy from Honeybee Creations tuning in, and Jerry. Hello, hello. Thank you guys for being here. We're just doing a little role play here of Kylene going through the SVP assessment, and just so you guys can kind of see it in action a little bit, much more condensed version, except for I keep stopping and talking, so not as condensed as it could be. All right. Well, let's get to again. We'd probably go a little bit deeper in some of that, but let's get into some of your values, Kylene,
Yeah.
and now what I want you to do though for a moment is think about the things that are maybe drive you a little bit nuts. Like maybe they're your pet peeves and not a person or a thing. This is really important, but the action that is causing you that consternation, causing you to feel a little bit perturbed. Um, and here's why I'm asking you this, because I've found that the things that are our pet peeves are really just the opposites of our values, right? And so it doesn't make that other person bad. It doesn't make the other thing bad necessarily. It just rubs up against your values. And we have a negativity bias as humans, and which is a good thing. It keeps us alive. But the reality is we can use that to then pinpoint more closely our values by understanding what our pet peeves are and then going, okay, what's the opposite of that? So maybe give me one or two things that drive you a little bit nuts. Again, it's not a person or a thing. It's not me. It's the actions that I cause or the action
Yeah.
that caused you to be upset with me.
I think when someone is fake or it feels like a forced thing, it just, I can feel it and I want no part of it. I
Okay.
won't, I find that I won't invest and I don't trust that person. Um, I hate negativity,
Oof,
obviously.
that's
Um,
strong. Okay.
yeah. Um, I always feel like there's something to be hopeful for. So when someone comes in and, um, like, there's nothing you can say to, to kind of motivate them.
Hmm.
It's like, why are you asking then for help? At some point,
Yeah.
that part irritates me a little bit.
Okay. All right.
I mean, not that I haven't been there before. I know
Yeah.
I've been there before, but that is something that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and just FYI, as you guys are doing this with me, yes, there's Chandler says it's Aaron. That's funny. Before Kylie got her hands on me, that was probably true, to be honest with you guys. So that's good. All right. And so, yeah, we dig into a little bit deeper on some of those things. But again, Kylene's been through this. And so what I always do is make sure that you guys know that um, I then take that, I put it in the little box here as I'm writing it down. And then once we start picking out the opposite, the first thing I do though is I make sure that I cross out in big, make it really clear that we're crossing out those negative things. So just I think that emotionally and mentally, we need that. We need to understand that it's a opposite of our values. So, Kylene,
Yeah.
what would you say maybe the opposite of fake or forced would be?
Authentic,
Okay, perfect.
and positive, growth-minded, those types of things.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, just to keep us moving forward here. Okay. So, looking at all of these things, we're finding in our strengths a lot of about positivity, goodness, potential, developing potential, encouraging, harmony, consistency, and then your values tend to lean into those strengths with authenticity, positivity, growth minded. And then from that, your passions show up with yoga, connecting, learning people's story, being motivational, a cheerleader, finding wins. What's a pattern that you're seeing in this, Kylene?
a pattern is that I am a cheerleader, for lack of better words.
Okay.
I'm like a coach in a way. I
Yeah.
am a counselor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Counselor, coach. Yeah, for sure. So, Kylene, I know you already have a reason statement or a why statement. But yeah, the idea is to kind of give us some things to work towards that, right? And so in an SVP session, we're never going to get all the way to a reason statement. That's something that we do deeper, either through the Masters of Success group or through some one-on-one consulting, things like that. But Kylene, what's your reason statement, just to give people that taste of how that all fits together?
Yeah. And so my reason is encouraging positive transformation and motivated people through mind and body healing. So that is it. It's kind of there's a lot of words in there.
No, that's perfect. So I'm giggling because if you guys just heard that, read it one more time for everybody, Kylene, just without any extra part to it.
Sure. Encouraging positive transformation and motivated people through mind and body healing.
So again, I'm giggling because now go back and think about the strengths, the values, the passions, right? Connecting, yoga, learning their story, motivating cheerleader, finding wins, authenticity, positive, growth-minded, potential development, encourager, harmony, consistency, right? Do those not all speak directly to that statement that she just made? Can we agree? All right. And Julie says, beautiful. Love it. Right. And here's the deal, you guys. If you don't have that beautiful statement, it's okay. It doesn't change anything. It really is the pattern. We're trying to put some language to it so it makes it easier for us to remember. But honestly, again, it's who you are. And so the idea here is we want to go back and go, okay, how am I building my business based on this? What's the plan for growth based on this? And so let's get to that part here. Yeah, that should be in your studio on the wall, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, my reason statement's posted all in front of me. So I'm looking at it right here. So just off to the side of the camera, it's right here. So, for me, not Kylene's, and Kylene would have hers. In fact, she's reading it from right in front of her there.
Yep.
She's see her eyes bolt down there. All right. So now, Kylene, real quick, again, we're going to kind of really rush through the last part here because this is going to be personal to everybody. But okay, what are your current outcomes in your business? And make something up, whatever, it doesn't matter.
As far as like classes that I get to teach for yoga,
just what are your current outcomes? Or let's go the other way then. Sometimes if people get stuck there, I start the other side. What's the outcomes you desire?
I desire people feeling more connected and find more harmony inside of them.
Okay.
More positive energy.
How do you know that that's happening?
Well, I know it from their feedback. I can actually see their energy shift after a yoga class.
Okay.
And so, but usually, I know for sure when they share with me how they're feeling.
And so does that mean that you're going to have classes? How many people are going to be affected by this? Like, what's the goal?
The goal is to have regular in-person and virtual classes to impact as many people as I can.
What's regular mean?
Weekly.
Like once a week?
3 times a week. A week right now.
Okay. And what does regular mean? Like if one person shows up 3 times a week, is that regular?
It is regular. I'd like to impact more people than that, but
Okay.
um,
And so again, the idea here is we got to get to something specific so you can have a target, right? And so this is an area that Kylene does continuously work on, and that's okay,
mhm.
right? And so wherever anybody, and this is the other cool part, you guys, wherever you're at, and this is a saying I've taken and borrowed from Kylene and probably made it my own more than I probably should have, but wherever you are at is perfectly fine. And
Mhm.
the whole point is to just
Yeah.
keep getting a little bit deeper, every time. And
Yeah.
Irina says, "You're a good sport, Kylene. You're tough, not really, just digging deep." I love it. I love it. So, okay. Now let's go back to your current outcomes.
Mhm.
Is there a mismatch between what you desire and what you're currently doing?
There is definitely a mismatch in that where I am providing most of my services is my day job, and so that part is a little misaligned in the harmony section and positivity. I love what I'm doing and interactions I have, but
Uh-huh.
the
Okay.
environment I am in is does not foster that.
Yeah.
I have to
So,
really be intentional to create it.
yeah, for sure. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So now you guys can kind of see the juxtaposition between her desired outcomes and her current outcomes, right? Now, here's the cool part is all that we need to do is change our structure, right? And I say all in like it's super simple. The reality is it is that simple from a mindset perspective. It just can be something that we have to be intentional about and we have to commit to daily, and we have to, do hard things. We have to get outside of our comfort zone. So it's simple, but it's not easy, right? So I don't want to make anybody feel like, oh my gosh, Aaron's saying it's simple and I should just be able to do it. No, you need to create and be intentional. Put yourself around people that are
Mhm.
going to motivate you and support you, that type of thing. But let's talk a little bit about that, Kylene. What's your
Mhm.
current structure then? What's the current way that you've designed your business that might be thinking back to your SVPs? What might be out of alignment?
Um, well, not spending enough time daily in those positive interactions
Okay.
and sharing.
Okay.
I can get sucked into the other stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what do you think could be a way to change your structure that would um, maybe be more in alignment with your SVPs?
Think of holding myself accountable to um, a routine that is more suitable for my current life. I do, teach on Saturdays when we're around, but
Hmm.
that hasn't been as consistent because it's important for me also to be there for volleyball and for Lewis and all, our family things.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
um,
But before you keep going,
mhm.
I want to stop you there because you're heading towards justification, right? And
What?
we're looking for solutions here.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm,
depending on where you're at, again, Kylene and I obviously have a relationship, and so we can do this. And I would meet you where you're at. I just know where Kylene's at, and so I can meet her where
mhm,
she's at. She understands or recognizes that that's a superpower of hers is giving
mhm.
people grace, right, and including herself, which is a good
Yeah.
thing, but it can go too far, right? So, what would be a solution for more accountability? Or for
Um,
to do have the structure that you need more time.
Design it in a way where I would be able to show up to more consistent classes, whether that's on a different day, whether it's on different time, or asking for help if I need it.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Ask for help. Okay. All right. And then the last part here. what is your potential plan to grow in that area?
hmm So it is consistency in that, not that I want what we talked about as my strength, but consistency in that it's regular um, interactions and connection to my why. And being intentional with that, with reach outs to
Okay.
people, building those relationships. It's having the classes, sharing that, inviting people to it instead of keeping it super secret. Um,
Okay.
so,
All
yeah.
right. Awesome. Just make a quick note there. So
Yep.
there you guys go. That's kind of the bulk of it. Now we would kind of look at the fundamental formula here and right there, accountability framework, right? We kind of figure out.
Yep.
And so what I do at this point is, depending on how we both felt, we'd kind of talk a little bit more. And then I'd say, hey, would you like if we, sometime maybe this week, depending, I like to kind of do it quickly so you're still in that mindset space that it would be useful for you. But my intention for the SVP is this is not a coaching call. It's not a right. I really want to, certainly we'll kind of point and prod and kind of give you some things that are showing up for me. But the intention is not to make it a coaching session. But what I would do for anybody that's willing to do the SVPs and giving me that 30 minutes of your time, I would exchange a hour's worth of consulting with you and actually have a coaching call, a facilitation call with you to where we could actually work on, okay, some ideas for changing the structure, some ideas for the growth plan, and go a little bit deeper on that. Either way, whether we do the coaching call or not, I do always follow up with full details of everything we've gone through in an email format. So, and maybe in adding a few potential action items in there. Again, just my goal, my reason, going back to my mission, is to cultivate uncommon mindset in proactive business owners so that you can have a fulfilling and goal achieving business. And so that's what I'm trying to check the box of. And I know by being able to help people look at this a little bit differently, they're going to start being more fulfilled and achieving their goals quicker. So I get to check the box just by doing this with you guys. And then if I can help you beyond that, masters of success, other things like that, etc. Okay. So I know that we're 30 minutes into our talk today and we haven't even gotten into the pillars, but does anybody that is tuned in live right now have any questions about that? Kylene, what do you think people need to know a little bit more about this opportunity for the SVP?
I do think you need to be gentle with yourself as you go through it. Aaron and I have been doing this for a while, and as you can see, I still struggle a little bit in certain areas. So just understand that we're always getting clearer. Our strengths and passions and values probably don't change that much, but the way we express it, the way it feels, the way we're connected to it, that can be hard to articulate. So that's why I would just say, be open if Aaron is asking you some of those questions. You don't have to have the right answer. You might not even have an answer, just how you're feeling in that moment, and share that. That's going to allow you to get a little bit deeper and keep growing. I mean, we've had lots of conversations about this, especially when we really got started. It's an exciting thing, but it's also a little frustrating when you can't articulate it. So just be gentle with yourself, and
Yeah,
it's worth your time, 100%.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Chandler is exactly right. Now, what do we do with that? Right? That's a perfect lead in, Chandler. Thank you. I didn't even ask her to do that. She's not a plant, everyone. I promise. She just gets it because she's part of Masters of Success, just like Julie. All right. So let's talk about that, Kylene. Let's talk about what we do with this. How do we utilize this information? And let's get into the wellness pillar. And I know this is normally your area, but I think this SVP thing is definitely my big passion. So
Passion. Yeah.
if you're okay with me leading here.
100%. Yeah.
So I think the first thing to understand is, like Kylene was just talking about, be gentle with yourself. Wherever you're at is perfectly fine. I'm going to keep borrowing that from Kylene. And sometimes I think we feel like we have to hustle. We have to get it done right now. It has to be perfect right now, right? Honestly, the more messy it is, the more you play fully out loud, meaning the more you just don't label anything. Just let it all go. Let it show up and let it
Mhm.
be what it is, right? So we you want to be looking at sustainability over hustle, right? And what that means is when you are trying to go and do and be something that's somebody else's, right? Like I'm comparing with, well, this person does it this way, so I need to do it that way, or I have to do it this way because some guru said I should do it that way, right? You're building a business that's out of alignment with your own unique strengths, values, and passions, your own uniqueness in general. And so that's going to lead to this, idea I've got to hustle harder, and that's going to be exhausting, right? So
Mhm.
thinking about your business as a whole, how are you structuring it as far as like what your intentions are, right? Like people go, oh man, I heard a consultant one time tell somebody that I talked to that, well, if they didn't have a storefront, they weren't a legitimate business. It's like, what? I have a disdain for that person, to be honest with you. And so like that's not true. What
Mhm.
you're doing is exactly true. So what is your structure? I don't need to have a storefront. I don't want to have a storefront. Right? Like for some of us that are decorators, right? Like just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean that you have to do it that way yourself, right? If we
Mhm.
did things the way they've always been done, we'd have no innovation, right? Like, is that not true, Kylene?
Mhm. 100%. Yeah. We would all be the same. There would
Absolutely.
be no growth in our
Yeah.
any industry,
Yeah.
really.
And as as much as our education system is growing, honestly, that's its intention, is to create workers that do the same thing over and over again. Right. And there you go. So Barb hit it on the head.
Yeah.
Thinking outside of the box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Chandler says, I just love, love, love this group. Chandler says,
Mhm.
me too. It's an authentic group. Appreciate that, you guys. That's awesome. Um, so, and just down to the nitty gritty too, like your
Mhm.
policies. Right. I was working with a friend of mine, and they found a guy on YouTube that said, we should do it. You should do it this way. And okay, it was, yeah, I mean, it made a lot of sense in what he was talking about, but in my mind, it was outside of what their values were, right? It was kind of I wouldn't say it was shady, but it didn't really feel truly authentic, right? They were kind of trying to take advantage of something.
Mhm.
And, and what I saw in them is it forced them to work against their strengths. And then they struggled and they were burnt out. And like, just looking at them in the eyes, I was like, wow, oof, ouch. Right. So I think, just looking at all those things, sustainability over hustle is important. Kylie, what do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we all know what it's like to feel burned out in what you're doing. And so if you don't have that structure set up in a way that's going to allow you to thrive, you're just going to constantly be pushing against it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I know that I've been through it. You've been
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah. Sure. I,
It impacts all the areas of your life.
yeah.
As much as we want to say
Yeah.
we can
And,
compartmentalize, it's all together.
yeah. And this, yeah, exactly, Kylie. It doesn't mean that we're not going to get off track. Like I know over the last couple of weeks, I've way overcommitted myself. And so I've had to create different projects and programs, and I'm late on the gratitude book and all of these things. And so I was out of alignment. Right. And
Mhm.
so the realization was, okay, no problem. Let's push, I'm gonna have to push a little extra hard here. Yeah, it affected me. Got a little bit sick. We were going to Milwaukee and doing all these things, but I had to kind of go, okay, hold on a second. All right. And I started saying no to some things. I started pushing some things further down the road that weren't as important. And so I think just kind of taking those moments to realign and kind of align your workload, right? What am I saying yes to? Where do I need to stand up for myself at, right?
Mhm.
And so asking questions like, am I working in a way that supports my well-being? Or does my schedule reflect my values and priorities, right? Am I owning and managing my own schedule, right? And
Yeah.
Kylene, you can identify with this right now in your space, right?
Yeah, 100% I can. My day job is very demanding, and
Yeah.
it's very, very not. I wouldn't. I would say toxic, I guess, right now. I mean, the work we do is very important, and I love it. It's the other stuff. It's a lot right now.
Well, yeah, we can be honest with. We've got
Yeah.
a group of people that we can be honest with, right? Like, so Kylene works for the Veterans Administration, which is a government organization, and everybody knows what's going on with government organizations right now. There's a lot of concern, and we're not picking sides one way or the other, but the reality is, and then when everybody's a little bit concerned, everybody gets a little more frustrated, and everybody kind of starts looking out for themselves a little bit more. And there's you were talking about positivity earlier in your SVP, Kylene, and I imagine there's probably more conversations that are a little less positive than the typical conversation, right?
Mhm.
And so, how do you manage that? How do you answer that question?
Well, you have the people around you that keep you accountable and call you out if they see you spiraling. Aaron has been really good to, remind me to not get sucked into the drama of it. I want to be there for my coworkers. Their situation's a little bit different than mine, but it still impacts all of us. It impacts the veterans. It
Mhm.
impacts, and you control what you can control, and I can control how I respond.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
and that's what I keep reminding myself.
Yeah.
So when I'm with a veteran, I am positive. I am focused. I just tell them we're going to keep moving forward as usual, and go from there. And I try to use those strengths I have in those moments. It's just, it does. You have to have that circle around you. So like MOS and Aaron and some of my friends at work are really important for me to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, Kylene. So
Yeah.
let's keep moving here.
Yep.
But I do want to get Chandler's comment here. These past couple of days being sick has actually helped me reflect on some things, and now I have a fresh way to look at things. And day jobs are overrated. All right, I know that a lot of times I can be really anti day job. Right? I love the acronym of job that just over broke. Right? The employers pay people just. I read this the other day. I was like, yeah, that seems about right. Employers pay people just enough to let go of their dreams. Right. So, anyhow, point being, I'm not anti day job, but again, is it,
Mhm.
even if you're working for somebody else, that's totally fine. But is it aligning with who you are? And
Yep.
when it's not, it becomes your responsibility. Like you said, Kylene, you can only control your responses. And so that's perfect. Right. And
Well,
so go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's where that structure comes in, to really design in a way where you're continuing to ensure that your reason and your strengths are being used in a way that's
Yeah.
fulfilling you.
Yeah. And so one of the ways to do this is really kind of and again, we're talking about our businesses here, but this
Yeah.
can really be in our lives, especially, where you've got a day job and other things like that, right? We're calling them policies, but just like this, these are your boundaries, right? Think of it as maybe boundaries. So your business has policies that you work within, and your life should have policies that you work within, and most of us call those boundaries, right? And so when
Mhm.
your policies and your boundaries are misaligned, that also creates stress, right? Because then we're constantly bending rules, we're trying to explain things. Like if we don't have clear policies or boundaries, then you're really stressed because, well, what am I going to choose today? And there's so
Yeah.
many decisions that you have to make, and when you understand that, right, that changes everything. And so looking at what your policies or boundaries are and how those align with your strengths, values, and passions and your goals, right? So in fact, Barb says, absolutely, Kylene, you can control how you respond. Love that.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess the other part is, yeah, are your goals in alignment, right? What I talked about earlier, where, sometimes we think that, well, if I don't have this as my business, then I'm not successful. Not true. You're the only one that can define success. right? And so
Yep.
while a monetary goal is awesome from the tracking and makes it very easy to understand where you're at and all that kind of stuff, most of the time I would say monetary goals are not right for people that I interact with. Right now, I get to be around a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs, people that are focused on the greater good and what their business can do as part of that. But again, nothing wrong with having a monetary goal, but whatever it is for you, you have to understand that your goals should be in alignment with who you are or your reason for being, really, but your reason for starting your business and all that kind of stuff. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to carry you through those tough moments. Because life is going to give us challenges. It's going to throw some curveballs at us. And if we're not really connected with why we're doing what we're doing, it's going to be really easy to get off track. So it's really important.
Yeah. So kind of let me really quick tell a
Mhm.
story about these goals and being in alignment and stuff like that. I had an opportunity. So I'm realizing, right, that even though I do whatever coaching, I don't really do coaching. I'm more a facilitator than anything. But the fact is, I was putting a label on something. I was looking at and comparing and going, well, I can't have a coach. Then, how would people try? Like, no, that's not true. I can have a coach, right? I can have people that pour into me just as much, right? And both ways, right? I can work with people that are pouring into me and vice versa. So understanding that, I started opening myself up and I started having conversations with people that, people would reach out to me on LinkedIn and different things like that. And I had this call with this lady this one time, and it still sticks with me. It was about a month ago. And she just starts telling me all the things I should be doing. He doesn't even get to know me, doesn't even really know what the heck my goals are or anything like that. Just starts telling me. And then she starts asking me what I'm charging. And then I'm like, I, it's really funny because I don't actually know. I have to go to my website and figure that out sometimes, right? Because that's not what's important to me. And so we got to it, and then she starts to like kind of breaking down all the numbers, doing all the math, and well, you're only getting this much per hour. I'm like, and your point, right? And so I just she's like, well, think about these things. I'm like, okay, probably not. And she's like, well, when should we have our next call? I'm like, never. And then she emailed me later on and she's like, I just wanted to see if you wanted to get back on my calendar. I'm like, no, I'm good. Thank you. But, right, like, are we valuing things that align with your values?
Mhm.
And so I think that's a really important thing to kind of leave people with on the wellness side of this whole thing, Kylene, is just ask yourself that question when you're feeling a little bit off track, right? Maybe we're feeling like maybe you're in a rut or just ask yourself, are you prioritizing things that are in alignment with your values? So that's the first way to use these values, Chandler, to answer your question. Kylene, anything else on that before we get to mindset here?
No, not.
Okay.
That was perfect.
And I think probably in the same vein here of what I just mentioned, but maybe continuing it just a little bit further here as we get into the mindset side of this is your SVPs, your reason can be an excellent filter. We talked about decision fatigue there a little bit. And by having these boundaries and policies, but really just having this reason statement in front of you, like Craig said, print it and put it on your wall, that type of thing. Your SVPs, your reason can be the compass, right? So if you're out there and you're hiking and you feel like you're a little bit lost, you pull out your compass, right? And you say, okay, I should be heading north. Oh no, I'm heading northwest. So I need to adjust my course, right? So we just adjust our course. And our SVPs work in that same way, right? Like, what's off? Pull out your SVPs and go, okay, what's off? What do I need to adjust? Where's it not pointing at true north here? And so when you think about your strengths, you can ask yourself these simple questions here. And I've got a question for each of our strengths, values, and passions here. So if you guys want, I just want to kind of slow into this in case anybody wanted to write this down. Am I structured? So this is strengths. Sorry. Am I structuring my business around what I do best? I mean, when I was thinking about that, I'm like, man, that's kind of an obvious thing. But the reality is a lot of us don't. right? I know there's been a lot of times where I've tried to do things that weren't my strengths because I thought that's what people wanted or needed. And while maybe that is true, it's not for me to give that to them. My job is to give them my strengths, right? And then connect them with somebody else that can help them with their strengths. That's why I love collaborating. And so, am I structuring my business around what I do best? Kylene, what's your
Yes.
answer to that?
Yes.
Okay. Putting her on the spot. I just wanted to make sure you were awake over there. So,
I was just into it. I was just
all right.
listening.
All right. I'm sorry. All right. Values, right? Do my policies, pricing, procedures, boundaries, offers, whatever that is, right? Wherever you're feeling a little out of balance, do they reflect what you stand for? Right. So going back to the quick story about the friend who was trying to emulate what a YouTuber suggested, right? Okay. Makes a lot of sense. But I didn't believe that it truly reflected what they stood for. And so they struggled with it, and that was, so if they could answer that question, do my insert whatever it is that you're feeling a little off on in your structure, whether it's your policies, your pricings, your offers, your boundaries, does it reflect what you stand for? Kylene, any thoughts there?
I think that's critical because you could be completely out of alignment there. That would create all that negative energy that means you're away from your SVPs. So
Yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
important to answer that question.
Yep. Okay, and then passions, right? And these passions are so important to us because they're what are going to allow us to get over those humps, right? When it feels more challenging than the willpower we've got, the passion shows up and says, "Hey, follow me. We got this." And so ask yourself this question: does my business model allow me to do what I love? This is why I go back to, and why Kylene and I are so focused on our success group on getting people to fall back in love with their business. And it seems a little bit odd, it's like a business, but we're not talking about like, well, emotional love though, right? Like I want people to pop out of bed each day and go, yes, right? Even when they're struggling. Okay, today is an opportunity for me to figure this out. Today is an opportunity for me to connect deeper with my strengths, values, and passions. Today is an opportunity. And so again, does my business model allow me to do what I love? So Kylene, why does this matter?
Well, if you truly want to have that sense of fulfillment and connection, it should fill you up in all different areas. And this is where one thing that I really was foreign to me when I met Aaron is when Aaron's just a natural entrepreneur, and I'm sure you guys are too. So work was just a part of every day. It wasn't like a structured this hour to this hour for him. It was all the time. And he did it because he actually was energized by doing it. It wasn't something he had to do. So then we know he's in line, right? With his passions, and it fills him up, keeps him going.
Get to versus have to. I love that.
Yep.
Thank you, Kylene. All right. Well, let's, I know we're going to go on a little bit long today, but let's start kind of wrapping this up with the actual fundamentals, right? And again, you're going to see that all these things kind of we're restating things, but I just am trying to go a little bit deeper each time. And so again, the fundamental, the actual what should I do part here is to truly go out and align your policies, align your pricing, align your business structure in ways that reflect your reason, your strengths, values, and passions. So we've talked about policies. And again, I think we can lump in boundaries for our personal lives, jobs, things like that. And so I guess asking yourself, right, do your policies, do your boundaries reflect your core values? And again, keep asking the why question, right? Because a lot of times we're doing things because it's industry norm, or it's how somebody else was doing it, or whatever that is. And so let me give you a quick example, right? Going back to my friends, their values were really a lot around honesty and transparency. And so the policy that they were doing was charging a trip fee and then trying to do small jobs. So they made a certain rate based on the fact that they were getting this trip fee. And that it wasn't who they were, right? And so their policy of charging this trip fee was out of alignment, and it made those conversations a little bit tricky. It made them feel like they were twisting the truth, right, so to speak. So, I would suggest just going back and reviewing some of your policies, and asking, are they written in a way that reinforces my values?
Yeah.
Policies are not meant to like bend over backwards for your customers. They're really meant to educate your customers on why this is important to you and why they should value that, right? Because if they don't, then they're not the right customer for you anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And so do your policies create trust and clarity for your ideal customers? And then just really put yourself, Kylene, going back to one of your strengths there in empathy and kind of developing others. If I were a customer, would I feel respected and in alignment with our shared values, right? Because your customers don't have to have the exact same values as you, but they should be compatible.
Yep.
Right. So if you're somebody that really values like doing good work and having high quality and stuff like that, and you're attracting people that are interested in the lowest price, you're going to be always out of alignment there. And so you got to go figure out what in your policies, and I've seen people kind of go through this and they go, oh, well, I put on my website that, I beat any competitor's price. It's like, okay, cool. I understand that made you, maybe that checked some box, but that's going against what is important, right? If somebody can do it for less, you should be okay to let them go.
Yep.
Because nobody's going to do it better than you. So maybe you should change that statement that the best quality work comes from us, guaranteed.
Yep.
Something like that. So any other thoughts on the value side of this here?
No, and I think, I guess one of the thoughts would be is, sometimes we're so close to it. So maybe just asking people how they see it. And then maybe that can help you kind of learn how it makes you feel inside.
Yeah.
When you hear how it's that customer or someone close to you perceives it. See if it matches up. I think that would be something helpful too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so going back to answer Chandler's question, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do we use it, right? So look at your values and then connect those to your policies, the way you operate, right? And see if there's anything out of alignment there.
Yeah.
Secondly, we can take our strengths and one of the best way to kind of like going back to what I said about monetary goals and being easier to measure, your pricing strategy, what's important to you, what you're getting for your services is a great way to look at your strengths, right? And so again, I think it's crucial to stop basing our pricing on what the gurus say, you should 10x this, or, like I said, that conversation I was having with the lady that was trying to tell me that my pricing was out of alignment. I'm like, no, you don't know me. So you don't know it's out of alignment. It's out of alignment to what you believe, right? But it's not out of alignment to what I believe. And so think about your strengths though, right? The one thing that I think most of us do is we devalue our strengths because we're so good at it. But the honest to God truth is your strengths are what people are coming to you for. And so to do what you do, I'm willing to part with money. I'm willing to part with my time. I'm willing to part with whatever to get your strengths because I don't have those, right? And vice versa. So, understand that your strengths is what people are paying for. And so you should charge what you're worth. And the other side of that is then understanding then what your ideal customers value the most and leaning into that as long as that's in alignment to yourself and to your own values, right? So, and if you're finding that your ideal customers value something that you don't, then they're not actually your ideal customers. And so it's time to kind of go realign your ideal customers, right? Julie's listening in. I know she's been working on that and that's really important. And she's doing a great job with that. So anything else on the pricing side, Kylene?
No, I just think when you are in alignment there, it's as much easier to sell your services, because I know some of us with our mindset, we don't always share ourselves for whatever fear might show up. But when you are truly in alignment and it feels right and you believe it, your message just comes across much clearer.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
Okay.
another benefit to it.
And then finally here, Kylene, let's wrap this up with, so kind of looking at the passions, right? Like I said, the passions are going to be the thing that are like the driver that pull you out of the rut, the hey, come on, hold my drink, here we go. But we can also kind of look at all three of those things, your strengths, values, and passions, and really kind of understanding what you're offering, what your services are, how you offer it, what your workflow is. Do those things fit your SVPs? Right. And so I think one thing that we can give people that they can use today, that probably what I would consider the most important thing that I'm sharing right now is, if you feel stuck, consider a small pivot on what you're offering or how you're offering it. Right. So let me give you some examples here. And I'm trying to kind of pull from lots of different categories of ways that we go about our businesses, because I know we got a lot of different types of businesses that are tuned in here, from a nonprofit, kind of a service-based business. We've got a lot of decorators in here. We've got people sharing gifts, but we've got people working business to business, et cetera, et cetera. So, Kylene, I'm going to give people, four examples here, and then we'll close with that if you have any other thoughts. Does that sound like a plan?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and this was something I looked at directly for me. Anybody that's out there doing any coaching or teaching, like Kylene, right? If you love teaching and are only offering one-on-one services, maybe the thing that's out of alignment is that you don't feel like you're reaching enough people, right? So maybe you could try adding like a group workshop or an online course that you can allow you to kind of teach at a scale, right? So again, this small pivots. And so instead of just always one-on-one, right? Like I've had people tell me that I need to offer more one-on-one services because I was out of alignment. But for me, it's somewhere in the middle, right? I certainly love those opportunities for one-on-one actions, but they do drain me a little bit more, right? And so being a facilitator of a mastermind group, now that I leave those things like, oh my gosh, give me 3 brick walls to run through. Let's do this, right? Is that how it goes, Kylene?
Something like that. Let's do this.
Okay. So there's a first example. Maybe your passion is around creativity, but you're kind of stuck in high volume, repetitive, doing the same thing over and over again. Right. So maybe the idea would be to offer limited edition designs, premium customization, or, if you're somebody that's really a creative and the actual production of it doesn't excite you all that much, right? It's just kind of more of a means to an end. Maybe licensing out what you're creating is a way to go, right? I'm seeing a lot of that in the Facebook groups, approved designers, things like that. So, there's some opportunities there for people. Let's see here. So if you're somebody that maybe is a wellness person, and maybe your love and passion is around educating patients, but maybe, you're a chiropractor and you're just finding yourself offering tons of quick adjustments in and out. Right. So maybe you could add a monthly wellness workshop or create an online Zoom course or opportunity. Maybe there's a membership model that you could add to your business where you're kind of focused on preventative care, right? Where, okay, come in for your adjustment, but, if you want to join our monthly membership, that's only $20, we'll give you, preventative care tips to make the between adjustment times get your body healthy, something like that, right? And so, Kylene, I'm sure, hopefully, you see some opportunities for you in there, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
And that's what I want you guys to all think about, right? Just because I'm talking about maybe a chiropractor right there, even if you're not even anywhere close to that, there's inspiration in there. I don't. The whole idea of what we're talking about here is that nothing you hear should be a prescription. Do this. Everything you hear should be an inspiration for you to align it with your business. Right? Does that make sense, Kylene?
Yeah. These aren't have-tos. This is an opportunity.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Last one here. And again, these are for our maker friends out there. maybe you do love the making, the craftsmanship, but maybe you're kind of stuck again doing things that are repetitive. Uh, Maybe you are somebody that is a handyman, for example, or you build tables or woodworking or making, laser engraving. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that this would relate to. But again, if you find yourself being stuck in something that doesn't feel right, maybe try some specialization. I only doing this, VIP programs, workshops again, and what might happen too is you might start attracting a different client. So going back to that whole pricing model, right? If you want to be the high end because you value all of the stuff, but yet you put on your website that you're going to beat anybody's price, change that, right? Like, okay, I'm going to beat everybody's quality, or I'm going to be the best at this. Going back to your strengths, the reason that those are your strengths is because you're meant to be the best in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing that, right? So any last thoughts, Kylene?
I think it just adjusting and being open to some of these ideas to see how it would best work for you. I mean, like Aaron said, it's going to attract people that you need in your life, whether it's clients or customers or just collaborators. It's going to create the right people around you, and you just have to be open to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. All right, Kylene. Well, we went well into bonus time today. I knew that was going to happen, but I wanted to, especially with all of the getting us together and being live together. All right. Craig says, I need to blot out another square on my bingo card, dropping off a sailing picture for a juried art show. Yes.
Yeah. Good job.
Got the boom, 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 pom, pom. All right. Yep. Love it. Love it. Love it. What other wins you guys got out there? Let's share those. If you guys are interested in that SVP, let me just put that up there one more time, and I'm going to talk about it again in just a second. But this is so crucial to people, I believe. And I've loved every opportunity I've had to work with folks. And so I'd love an opportunity to work with you. So all of this stuff that we talked about today, an hour and 10 minutes worth, go put it into action right now. When's the best time to do it? Right now. There's no better time to start than right now. Just do 15 minutes, right? And then ask some of those questions to yourself. Give yourself that space and go back and do that. And then you can, we're going to go finally take down our Christmas decorations. Don't tell anybody, but
outside.
Yeah, outside Christmas decorations. We had a big snowstorm and it's been stuck for a little bit. So we finally are there. That's my justification, Kylene. How did I do?
It's perfect.
All right.
How are you?
All right. Well,
like Kylene level.
go work on your business right now, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're really grateful for all you guys joining us here and your participation. We really, truly value you, and we learn together, and it's just such a positive community. So thank you guys for being a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, like a rising tide does lift all boats. Nobody's ever going to change my mind on that. And we are here to lift each other up every single week. I want to challenge each of you to align your business. It's super easy to start off with that complimentary business alignment strategy call. There's no pressure. There's none of that. Right? I put this out there because I am intending to fill my reason, and it has nothing to do with selling you anything. Okay. So who's going to do it? I'm curious if anybody's willing to put their hand up and say, yep, I'm in. So osg.link/SVP.
Yes, it will be worth your time. Hopefully you guys saw that today. And just remember, lasting change, does come from positive energy. So remember, gratitude's our superpower. We can choose to be grateful for the things that we have in our life and just pay attention to it, raise that vibration and keep growing. Thank you guys again for being a part of the conversation today. You can actually join us over on the Facebook group, which is osg.link/group. Start a conversation, continue this conversation over there. After you go through the SVP with Aaron, if you haven't done it yet, share your thoughts afterward. Share what showed up for you. I think it would be awesome to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Julie. We had a lot of fun today, and we appreciate you guys being here and working your way over to YouTube to be part of the conversation today. Julie says, I'm in. And Chandler says, we are grateful for you guys. And Chandler, we are grateful for you in return. So rising tide does truly lift all boats. All right, everybody. Well, I think that will do it for today. So let's tune in next week. We'll be back. I don't have a topic quite yet, but we'll figure out something fun. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about on Small Business Saturdays, please let us know. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through.